ever felt like you live in two worlds? You're leading teams at a tech company by day, but at night, you're choreographing dance pieces. Or you're a venture capitalist who's also producing music. Or an engineer who performs opera. You're not alone, and you're not weird. Welcome to the Ampersand Manifesto, the podcast for people who make their mark in multiple fields. I'm Jessica Wan, and after 50 interviews with multi-passionate ampersands, I'm sharing the manifesto. Why we keep doing what we do, even when it's hard, and what it means for how we live, lead, and create. Before we dive in, I wanted to let you know about a couple of events I'm hosting this fall. On Sunday, October 5th, I'll be singing in a solo recital of opera, art song, and musical theater in Berkeley, California. The theme is The Moon and Me, in honor of the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival. I'll share songs about the moon, and we'll serve delicious mooncakes. Go to jessicawan.com/events to RSVP. Then, on Sunday, October 19th, we're hosting the Ampersand Summit, an in-person event in San Francisco. Our goal is to bring together multi-passionate humans at all stages of their journeys. Learn more at theampersandmanifesto.com. There's a link at the top of the page to sign up. I hope you can join us. Leading a multi-passionate life is something that a lot of people do, but not a lot of people talk about. It's not that we actively hide it. It's just that we all go through our lives in silos. For example, if you work in a corporate environment, you usually talk about work stuff there. If you're a parent, you might talk about parent stuff at school or on playdates. And if you're an artist, you might have a community of artists to discuss that part of your life. It's natural. We all take into account context. But what about all of your pursuits? And what about the connections between the different parts of your life? To me, that's what has made this podcast so special. That in talking about ampersands, we can see a level up from those distinct areas into a more holistic picture, drawing connections and new insights in a different way. In my interviews across these last 4 seasons, I've realized that we keep a lot of information in our heads, strategies and ways of thinking that might be helpful for other people to hear about. I realized this most acutely when Naomi interviewed me in season 1. I had so much I wanted to share about how I organize my ampersand life that I had never really articulated before. No matter what your roles are, whether you're a visual artist, technologist, musician, doctor, or athlete, all of us employ practices in how we operate our lives. When I think of the word practice, it's something you do consistently, that you return to, and that is foundational for the way you live. Practices, like habits, can be built over time, and they can start or wind down depending on what is working for you. So without further ado, I wanted to share 5 practices that have come up in the course of this show that you can start using today. Practice number 1, accept how you work best and lean into it. Different ampersands need to think about time in different ways. And a lot of this is just based on what the art form or pursuit needs for it to be successful. For some people, straddling their ampersand is like a day job, night job sort of thing, or perhaps weekdays and weekends. And for others, They've toggled between their ampersand over the course of years or decades. I've gotten a chance to interview several novelists on this show. Novelists who are also tech leaders, entrepreneurs, and musicians. A common theme that has come up is just how immersive a project like a novel is. It's not just writing, it's world building. And that takes an immense amount of time, effort, and stamina. Emily J. Smith summed it up well in her interview in season 4. She said that she found with essays, she could squeeze it in and do it before her work as a startup founder. She was toggling that kind of writing on a daily or weekly basis. But with her novel, she said, quote, I don't want people to feel bad if they can't get through their novel while they're working a full-time job. Right now, I'm in an off period. The book is launching, and I'm taking time off from my tech work. If I were working right now, I'd be out of my mind. End quote. What's most important is that how you approach balance works for you. Some pursuits are going to take up more space than others, and there's no better way to do it because you are carving out a path that is personal to you. Practice number 2, dialing up and dialing down. The image of a soundboard came up in one of my first interviews with David Riemer. In reflecting on his careers, he said that he's constantly asking himself what he needs to dial up on and what he needs to dial down on in his life. Part of this is recognizing that if there are new things you want to add, that will require you to dial down in other areas. You can also think of these dials as a stove with many burners. What's on the front burners and what's on the back burners? In my interview with Liron Lavi Turkenich in season 2, she talked about bringing back a book project that she had started years ago and finding new energy at this point in her life. It's a good reminder that it's not just about turning up or down the dials, but also recognizing what's available to return to. Practice number 3, moving from perfection to progression. It's no surprise that a lot of ampersands I've talked to are perfectionists, or as some like to say, recovering perfectionists. But as we check off all those boxes over time, we may find that not only is finding perfection unattainable, it's actually just not that interesting anymore. So instead of aiming for perfection, the term I've heard over and over again in my interviews is positive progression. Craig Perry said it well in season 3, as he was reflecting on his ampersand of being a recovery advocate, guitarist, and firefighter. He said, quote, all 3 of these involve a willingness to improve and a willingness to not remain complacent. With the training that we do for music, technique, ear training, it's to improve and to not lose progress. And losing progress happens way too easily. With firefighting, complacency can be a very dangerous thing. You want to always be training. You want to always be improving. Continuing to focus on progression, not perfection, gives us a way forward that's exciting and motivating. Okay, so we've got 1, lean into what works for you. 2, dial up and dial down. And 3, progress, not perfection. Here's practice number 4. Don't compare. In season 1, I had a great conversation with Sara Wampler, a personal friend who is a tech executive and a writer who's published 7 Regency romance novels. She dropped so much wisdom, including this one. Quote, I think if you live in an ampersand world, there are not a lot of comparison points. And in some ways, that's for the best, end quote. She called it the deceit of comparison. And we all fall into the trap from time to time. It's so easy on LinkedIn to compare a business or corporate career, or on Instagram to compare your creative path. However, as ampersands, there really aren't fair comparisons because you are on a path that is so clearly your own. So comparison is an illusion and not worth your time. Don't compare. Practice number 5, reflect and follow the breadcrumbs. I've heard from several guests that it's a gift to be seen as an ampersand, bringing together their many parts into one storyline. And I'm sure we're still just scratching the surface in a 30-minute interview. I describe my interview style as a kind of forced reflection. And I'm lucky that my guests are open to diving deep with me. This space for reflection is one of the main through lines for me as both a podcast host and as an executive coach. And there is no better way that I know of to figure out your future than to start by reflecting on your past and present and to look closely at what you see. For example, in my last pivot from the CMO path to executive coaching, I followed the breadcrumbs from what I was watching and reading, where I was spending my time, and what mattered most to me. I'd recommend that anyone listening to this regularly reflect on your life. Whether that practice looks like journaling, talking with others, and or dedicating a chunk of time to this every few months. You need to look for your own breadcrumbs. What's exciting you? What's not? Who do you want in your orbit? What is pulling you closer? There you have it. 5 practices for leading a sustainable ampersand life. 1, lean into what works for you. 2, dial up and dial down. 3, progress, not perfection. 4, don't compare. And 5, follow the breadcrumbs. Let me know what resonates with you. Leave me a voicemail at theampersandmanifesto.com/voicemail or send me an email at j@jessicawan.com. I'd love to hear from you. If you liked this show, share it with your friends and fellow ampersands, and make sure to hit the follow button to be notified when new episodes drop. It would mean the world to us if you took 2 minutes to rate and review the show. Just go to the main show page on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and look for the stars.